When you look around in any branch of the art world, be it music, films, visual arts, academia, it's no secret that the top of these institutions are decidedly left wing. But why? Being in art myself, people have asked me this and usually just assume because I'm in art, I must be aligned with these things. Being that I walk this line between the two worlds, I decided to observe my peers, research other examples, and dig deep into my own ideas and gut feelings on the matter. Hey y'all, it's your good buddy Justin here at Leopard Stripe. Now before we get into it, and you spend the entire video mulling over what my angle is, I'm just going to lay all my cards out on the table for you, just like my very sad final hand at blackjack last night. I'm personally pretty contrarian in nature. If I see large groups of people embracing, going along, and participating in something, I immediately recoil and want to go the other direction. I view left and right social discourse as kind of like riding a bike. You got to sort of sway back and forth in order to keep it centered. If you turn the handlebars too sharply in either direction, you're going to crash. Additionally, left and right are very relative terms. What you find on the woke left, anything not in lockstep with the prescribed orthodoxy right now is considered sort of far right. And conversely, on what we might call, for lack of a better term, woke right, anything not sort of aligned is soy-infused beta commie. The baseline for pop culture and mainstream center in the Western world has been drifting left for some time now, only accelerated in the past 20 years. And we're going to come back to that in just a few minutes. Before sitting down to put this video together, I did ask the internet, and what I found was admittedly mostly left-leaning individuals, and their answers ranged from the right has no brains to be creative with to left-leaning people are just more open-minded. But this didn't really get to the root of the question, and the answer I arrived at isn't just one answer, it's actually several. So first, art is idealistic and not based in reality. The retort of much of the left, when pressed to give any examples of communism and socialism success stories throughout history, is that it just really hasn't been done correctly yet. There's an event horizon of ideas, not reality. Additionally, these ideologies do not promote competition or merit. The subjectivity of art is attractive in the same ways. It's ideally, at least at surface level, communal, not competitive. And it's based in imagining a concept less than defining reality in certain terms. Secondly, the arts look to tap into emotion more so than hard-hitting facts. The right we generally associate with straightforward utilitarian matters, a mindset that doesn't have time for bullshit. And let's face it, art is full of bullshit. You can see this with left-wing politicians, where Republicans might be more likely to be dry, boring straight shooters. Democrats will tend to be like more flowery, theatrical, and seek to reach people through their emotions over reasoning. Further, there's also more mental illness on the left. I don't say this in a disparaging way. Studies show progressives tend to be less happy than their conservative counterparts, and this may lend itself to a need to express themselves in other outlets. See my video on sad art. The card will be somewhere around here probably. Now, to flip the script, our perception of the left being more creative may be simply of circumstance. For much of the 20th century, progressives have been on the counterculture. From this vantage point, the movement is on the offensive. It offers a large tent simply because it's looking to gain ground and not worried about losing ground. It was cool. There were no boundaries. But over the last 20 years, the left has moved the Overton window, what mainstream society views as a center, drastically to the left. For all intents and purposes, the left, be it organic or contrived, has taken mainstream culture. Yes, film and music has long been progressive, but it was cool because it was the counterculture. But that peaked decades ago, and now the right, conservatism, is counterculture. It's the left that has a strict orthodoxy that does not allow for any deviation, which stifles freedom and creativity. And the right has been offering a wide tent. And through new media like memes and podcasts, we've seen creativity, inclusivity, and inquisitiveness that the left has not displayed in over a decade. So I submit to you my theory here that art, creativity, is in the hands of the underdog on the upswing. Whichever side, left or right, that holds the majority power in the culture is going to be collectively less creative. And this is because the cycle calls for it. Because when the ideology counterculture, it's automatically going to be attractive to the rebellious and the outcasts. It's going to be more inclusive and make unlikely allies. And it's going to be more creative because it's more free to express with less limited boundaries, because it has nothing to lose and everything to gain. Conversely, when one side, left or right, is in control and dominant, it begins to crystallize in orthodoxy, which is alienating and in a position which it purely is on defense of its own power, and untouchable sacred cows are established. And it becomes ultimately a parody of itself, losing all sense of nuance. Creativity often arises from desperation, be that strife of an individual's pain or the strife of an artist. On the left or right feels their expressive commentary on society. When that commentary becomes commercially mainstream, it becomes a parody of itself. It jumps the shark. This is true of any movement, and creativity within movements plateaus, regardless of individual input, because the messaging becomes cliche and the styles become stale. This is all part of the problem the creative left has right now. It's so insistent on being mainstream and enforcing its own establishment rather than embracing the counterculture cool that it once was. It's absolutely lost its creative edge. This may have something to do with that essential element that breaks, builds, and complicates lives in society: money. Artists are generally not wealthy. It's not a blanket statement. However, I've found much of the work that you find in galleries and such are done by wives of the wealthy. But that's a topic for another day. I digress. The starving artist. These people are generally receptive to the idea of larger societal welfare programs. This includes grants, academia. All of these financial paths rely on agendas of very large entities: the World Economic Forum, the UN, USAID, the WHO. So there's an incentive to appease the mission statements of these entities in order to gain favor and access to funds. This trickles down from art schools and institutions to rewards for students. And so much of the establishment, creative institutions such as Hollywood, academic institutions, museums, they're incubators for left-wing worldviews. Even so, when it's clear that those at the top of these institutions sort of talk left and live right, meaning the way they hoard their own position in finance, view their privilege, is drastically opposed to what they project on the rest of the world in their audience. Many of the post-impressionists of the 19th century held very anarchistic views, far to the right of any rigid, large, omnipresent government control that fascist and Marxist ideologies are known for. In the same way, we might look at the Outer Banks of North Carolina, for example, and expect this is how we know it, so this is how it's supposed to be, and has always been. But this isn't true. The Outer Banks has not always been there, and it won't always be there. The geography of the world changes. Nothing is static, and creative movements are included, and who is behind the creative movements. Like everything, there are some deep, sticky avenues we can go down with this. But I'm not particularly interested in that right here and right now. But I hope for this video you found it interesting, and if so, you might leave a like or subscribe. If you'd like to find my artwork, you can go to leopardstripe.org, or you can go through my Etsy shop at leopardstripe. The information will be in the description of this video. I'm also an author. I've written a book, alternate history, science fiction. It's called Destination Ursa Major. Check that out through Amazon. It's my first of a 3-book series. Thank you again for coming, and until next time, get some sun, touch some grass, and find the art in everything.